One of the biggest things that people worry about in crypto is someone hacking their account. Can you kind of explain what security measures you have in place and what people need to be aware of and what best practice?
Yeah. So let's break that down into two components. From a individual customer perspective, and then let's talk about best practices afterwards, because I think they overlap a lot. But typically when somebody thinks about their crypto getting hacked, it happens in one of two ways. The company that is custodying the assets has a security breach, whether that's an employee or an outside actor that comes in and is able to gain access to the systems and take the assets. Second would be somebody's able to come in and take control of an individual user's account or a set of accounts like we saw with Coinbase. There's a variety of different frameworks that are in place on the, let's say, the entity side. And for security purposes, I won't go into those frameworks. I'll kind of dance around it and give you what information I can. We look at it as a multi-layered approach between insurance on assets, between internal operational controls. I mean, almost everything we do has 2 or 3 approvers. It's always a maker checker type setup. And we have a variety of different security protocols and perimeters that make it difficult. I mean, at this point, there's no one person that can do something in our business. It's going to require 2 to 3 people to make any type of action. So that's sort of how we're managing the enterprise level components. And then insurance provides that extra comfort or peace of mind that should something go wrong or we didn't anticipate something, there is a fund that can be able to be utilized. On the individual side, that's the weakest part. And the weakest part is that I have 1,000 passwords of every imaginable site. And so I chose something that might be like James123, and that's my password. And it's kind of like your bank account or your retirement account. That username and password is very important to protect. We do require that anybody with a crypto account uses the 2FA for login. We allow text message. We prefer, I'm not even sure what you call it, it's an MFA token where you have to punch in the number or accept on your phone. By default, that's what everybody gets, much like a Google Authenticator. We use Guardian. As soon as you set up your crypto account, that first step is log in 2FA. And then for any time you log in, you have to put your 2FA in. In order to reset your 2FA, there's a variety of hoops you need to jump through. Not always the nicest customer experience, but it's designed to create speed bumps. I mean, when you think about this, I don't know that any system is perfect, but you try to create as much delays and hurdles and speed bumps as possible to prevent bad actors. We also apply account limits on how much assets can be withdrawn at any given time. Prior to doing any withdrawal with us, there's a process of verification. And so the first time we need to make sure that it is you. The subsequent times there's limits unless you make requests for us to customize those limits for you. And every transfer goes through some types of review, compliance screening, security screening prior to going out. The end result is that it's not as fast as sending from wallet to wallet, but we put in those controls and we put in all the communication with the customers that if somebody took control of my account, I should be able to catch it via email, or TradeStation should be able to catch it via some type of process they have in place. And again, it's just layers of speed bumps and trying to put the maximum protection in place. But it's without a doubt, the weakest point is the individual, the password they've chosen, and the security recovery questions that they have. In terms of best practices, I think you need to look at your personal security again in layers like an onion and think about things in terms of speed bumps and complexity. Thieves and hackers like easy targets. And so if you just have a simple email and simple password, you become a pretty easy target. Even just adding a 2FA onto your email goes a long way to making it much harder for you to take control. And email is probably, when I think about my personal security, it's like the most important piece. Every one of my accounts recovers into some email address. And so if anybody gains control of an email address, then they can gain control over an account because they can recover that email and so on down the line. So I think about things like some form of multiple two-factor authentications on the email. I protect that email. I use an email that I don't use anywhere else for any kind of signups. I then think about all my accounts as possible having multi-factor authentication on them. so that should somebody want to compromise my account, there's additional hurdles. Maybe if I were to kind of distill it all simple, think about things that are going to make it difficult and slow for someone to gain access to your account. Two-factor is great. I tend to avoid two-factor via SMS. I don't like it. I don't want to be reliant on my phone number. I prefer to have something like a Authy, Google Authenticator, or an Auth0 Guardian, and I apply that to all of my critical accounts. And it's not just crypto, like it's your retirement account, it's your bank account, it's your phone, it's your credit cards. It's these breaches happen in a variety of different manners, and it's unpleasant if anything gets taken.